Okay, lesson 3, I want to talk to you about something called chord scales. Whether you know anything about chord scales or not, you're probably already using them. And so obviously if you get to know them a little bit better, it'll help you out even more. Any song that you already know how to play is being played using chords that come from a chord scale. And you might be able to figure out that the chords in that chord scale are built on the notes that are in the scale of that song. If we're in the key of C major, a C major scale includes the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then we're back to C again. Well, in the key of C major, the chords are all built on those notes. We have a C chord, we would have some type of a D chord, an E chord, an F chord, a G, A B, and then we're back to C again. For me, when I'm learning a new song, as soon as I know what key the song is in, I automatically know what the most likely chords are going to be in that song. At that point, all I need to know is what rhythm. Okay? If you understand chord scales, you'll be learning songs so much faster. It's really beneficial to understand this, and it's not hard to do. Okay? So I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to teach it to you with bar chords because it's really easy to see this way and to really understand. I'm going to take that C scale that I just played and I'm going to play it up the string. All right? So and in fact, I'm going to use my first finger for each of these. So we would have a C, a D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. That's the key of C major. Now I'm going to come back down here to the 3rd fret. I'm going to play that easy old bar chord we got right there, the A-shaped bar chord. At the 3rd fret, that chord is C. So there's my C. It's actually a C major chord. That's our major shape of that bar chord. In the C major chord scale, the next chord built on the D note is a D minor chord. Then we have an E minor chord, F major, G major, A minor. It gets very tricky to play them up here, but just for demonstration purposes. Then we have what's called a B minor 7 flat 5. You don't need to worry about that one. You almost never play this chord anyway. You almost never play the chord that's on the 7th. But there it is. And then we're back to the C major chord again. That is a C major chord scale. Now, we've talked before about giving the scale steps numbers. Well, these chords get numbers too. C is the 1 chord. D minor is the 2 chord. E minor is the 3 chord. F major is the 4. G is the 5. A minor is the 6. B minor the 7. And we're back to C. Now, you have probably heard of a 1, 4, 5 chord progression. Well, that's where those numbers come from, the chord scale. In the key of C, a 1, 4, 5 chord progression, we would play the C, that's our 1 chord. We would skip over the 2 and 3 chord and go right to the 4 chord, the F. And then the 5 chord, the G. Okay? So a 1, 4, 5 chord progression in the key of C has the C, the F, and the G. The chords built on the root note, the 1st note of the scale, the 4th note of the scale, and the 5th note of the scale. Okay? Other common chord progressions might include that 2nd chord, or that 3rd chord, or that 6th chord. There are very many chord progressions that are common and that repeat in song after song after song, and the way we refer to them is by their number. You've heard of a lot of chord progressions. There's others besides 1, 4, 5. How about 2, 5, 1? That's a very common jazz turnaround. How about 1, 3, 4, 5? All right, there's all different kinds. 1, 6, 2, 5. All right, all different common chord progressions that we refer to by their numbers. And if you start to understand this stuff, it'll really help your song learning. It'll help you learn songs quicker. You'll really start to fly through them. And if we go through this one more time, I want you to understand, in the major key, the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord are major chords. And basically all the rest of them, 2, 3, 6, and that wacky 7 chord, they're all basically minor chords. All right? 2, 3, and 6 are minor, and the 7 chord is something we call minor 7 flat 5. But 1, 4, and 5 are major, 2, 3, and 6 are minor. Okay? You start to know that. As soon as you hear a song in the key of C, if it's got a D chord, you know it's supposed to be D minor. Most of the time it's going to end up being D minor. If it's got an E chord, a 3, it's probably going to be an E minor chord. This will also help you to understand when you're supposed to be playing major and when you're supposed to be playing minor. Okay? Now, people cheat the rules plenty. It doesn't always work out that way, but it usually does. Okay? Okay, I showed you the chord scale on the C chord using that chord shape. How about if we move over to the E-shaped chords, the root 6 chords as some people like to refer to them. Let's play in the key of G. Let's just go through that same kind of thing. The scale would be G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. If I build a chord on each one of those, I've got G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp, major 7 or minor 7 flat 5, and back to that G chord. It gets really hard to fit your pinky in there, but you see that same flow. I've got the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord were major chords. The 2, 3, and 6 were minor chords. You start to understand that chord scale, you learn a song in the key of G, chances are it's got the 1, 4, and 5. Almost every song has a 1, 4, and 5 in it. And then if it's got any other chords, chances are they are the 2, the 3, or the 6. Certainly some chords go out of that scale. Okay? Later on you will need to learn to transpose that scale from the major to the minor and understand relative major and relative minor. That's something we'll talk about more as the course goes on. But get going with your chord scales. Tear apart some songs you know and analyze them in this routine, and you'll really start to improve your playing. Also, you should know that when we talk about the chords, we actually use Roman numerals to indicate which chord we're on. And the major chords get a capital, uppercase Roman numeral. The minor chords get a lowercase. All right? There you go. Chord scales. They're wonderful. Get to it.